What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and I can't stress that enough, and the player ratings and potentials of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips, this is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations on what players to sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, we are back with Real Madrid. Yes, the Galacticos of Madrid in Spain in La Liga, and these guys, as we know, are one of the best teams in world football. They are the record Champions League winners with 13 titles. They've also won 4 of the last 6 Champions Leagues as well. They're the only team in history to retain the Champions League. They've won 33 La Liga titles, so in summation, these guys are pretty goddamn good. So yeah, in today's episode, we're going to take a look at how to improve Real Madrid's side, if that's even possible. So as we begin the Real Madrid career mode for our first season at the Bernabeu, I want to take you through the team. It is, of course, a 5-star side, and as you can see, it's very good indeed. There is very little negative to this side. It's got so much quality in it, and there's also a lot of great young talent in this Real Madrid side as well. Some decent young Spanish players, but also a couple of very good Brazilian talents too. Vinicius Junior might be the most noteworthy one of the lot in terms of profile, and in general, it's a really good squad with lots of good players for the future and also for the present as well. So you might sit there and think, well, then in that case, there's very little reason to improve the squad. You could probably win everything you need to in the first season with the team you've got, and that is true. However, with this Real Madrid side, as I take you through it, the one thing you will notice is there are quite a few aging players here. They're in their 30s that have been at Real Madrid for quite some time and are now coming towards the end of their careers, and that is, of course, the main area for you guys to improve in the first season with Real Madrid. Now, you start off with a budget of around £169 million. However, as we discussed many times before, due to the generous wage budget EA give every single club at the start of the season, it's more likely to be around 190 to 200 million pounds. So a massive budget, a 5-star team, one of the best in the game. However, what comes with a big budget and a really good team? The strong objectives, of course. Yes, in your first season with Real Madrid, you have got to win the treble, and that is not a surprise. That's asked of you in the first season with this amazing 5-star team. And they've got quite a few players that had deals coming at the end of the year, including Alphonse Areola, who is, of course, on loan right now, and some decent young talents as well. I'd recommend giving some contracts to a couple of the youngsters, De La Fuente, Hernandez, and also the young goalkeeper Altuve, as they've all got pretty decent potential. But as for the noteworthy players, their contracts that come at the end of the season, those are James Rodriguez, the Colombian, and Luka Modric, the Croatian. Now, personally speaking, I would let them both go. The Colombian might be 27 years old, but I think his time at the Bernabeu has come towards its end. And as for Luka Modric, it'll be sad to let the former Spurs midfielder go. He's been at Real Madrid for such a long time, but at 33 years old, whilst 89 rated, who of course won a Ballon d'Or a couple years ago, the fact of the matter is he's due to decline in attributes right from the get-go in the first season. So personally speaking, I'd recommend cashing in on him, and as his deals are coming the end of the year as well, I wouldn't recommend giving him a new contract. I'd let him go and get as much as you can for him in the first transfer window. But as for the transfer list, I put quite a few players on it. You would have seen the list there, including Marcelo. He'd be another player that we sad to let go, of course, because he's been at the Bernabeu for over a decade now. But with Real Madrid, you are looking to build for the present as well as the future as well. And my number one target for a Real Madrid career mode, well, it was pretty obvious, wasn't it? He's been heavily linked with a move to the Bernabeu for quite a while now. Kylian Mbappe, the 20-year-old French striker, currently playing for PSG and formerly of Monaco. He's 89 rated in the game, and at 20 years old, you know he's going to cost you a pretty penny. We agreed a deal with PSG of 107.5 mil, a 10% sell-on clause, and Karim Benzema included in the deal as well. But the fact of the matter is, with Real Madrid, again, you want to build for the present as well as the future, and this guy has got more potential than any other player in FIFA 20. That's right, he's got the highest potential in FIFA 20 with 95, and again, at just 20 years old, already 89 rated, he's already one rating higher than Karim Benzema right now, so you can afford to let go of the Frenchman Benzema and give him him to PSG as he goes back to his native home country to soften the transfer fee, because you've got Luka Jovic, the young Serbian talent, on the bench as a backup striker. So Mbappe, without question, my number one target for Real Madrid career mode. Again, he's going to cost you an absolute fortune to get hold of him. When you look at his stats, 4-star weak foot, 5-star skill moves, can play on either side of the wing, which is really crucial as Real Madrid do operate in a 4-3-3. So if he's not doing the job as a striker, or you fancy a change, you can play him on the left-hand side as an inside forward, or on the right-hand side with a 4-star weak foot. He'd still be very capable on the right as well. And Mbappe, without question, my number one target. And again, I'd also include Karim Benzema in the deal as well, because it will soften the transfer fee. He's 88 rated, Benzema, so PSG would like to have him. And again, it will soften the fee. It prevents you having to pay around 140 to 150 million pounds. And of course, due to the fact, again, you've got Luka Jovic, the young talent on the bench, you won't need Benzema once you sign Mbappe. So Mbappe, 95 potential, my number one target for Real Madrid career mode. And following that, we had a couple of sales here. James Rodriguez, the Colombian, discussed him very briefly earlier. I think his time at the Bernabeu is coming to an end, so we sell him to Old Trafford for £29.5 million. Not a great deal for the 84 rated player, but again, I don't think he's got a long-term future at Real Madrid anymore. And we also have been here for Marcelo, the Brazilian left-back from Tottenham Hotspur. Jose Mourinho, who of course worked with Marcelo at Real Madrid, now wanting to take him to London, and we managed to agree a deal of 31 million, I think it was, £30.5 million for the Brazilian. And again, whilst he has been at Real Madrid for over a decade now, which is such a long time to spend with one club, and it'll be sad to let him go, as he is now in his 30s, and due to decreasing rating anytime soon, at 84 rated, you can find someone that's better and also younger as well. So personally speaking, I would look to let him go in the first season. As you see, confirmation here, Rodriguez does go to Old Trafford. And also, I found this very interesting indeed as well. We had a bid here for Gareth Bale for £38.7 million. And it came from Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona wanted to take Gareth Bale to Catalonia. So I found that very interesting indeed. And as we know, Gareth Bale, pretty much since the first season he's been at Real Madrid, has been linked with moves away elsewhere to several top-flight Premier League sides. And, you know, a couple of years ago, it is worth pointing out, he actually agreed personal terms to join a Chinese side. But at the last second, Real Madrid cancelled the deal. And in the end, he stayed at the Bernabeu. I believe it was because the Chinese side weren't going to pay a transfer fee. And Real Madrid wanted to get something back for him and not just see his wages get paid elsewhere. But either way, he decided to stay at Real Madrid, but he's still not exactly been, let's just say, secure at Real Madrid in terms of his long-term future. So in my personal opinion, I think his time at the Bernabeu should be coming towards a close when you do a Real Madrid career mode, and I would recommend selling him in the first season as well. Barcelona, however, is an interesting destination for him to go to, but either way, we agreed a deal of £50 million, as you see Marcelo and Mariano get sold there as well. So after the sale of the Brazilian left-back, you wouldn't need to buy a replacement. And just a moment ago there, I did say with Marcelo, whilst it would be sad to sell one of Real Madrid's most capped players ever, and he's been at the club for over a decade, you can get someone that's better and younger right from the get-go in the first season. And my recommendation for a replacement for the Brazilian would be this guy right here, Andrew Robertson of Liverpool, the 25-year-old Scottish left-back who is 86 rated in the game with 89 potential, well, still 89 potential as well. He's valued at £44 million. You should probably spend around £60 to £70 million to get hold of him. We agreed a deal of £65 million with Jurgen Klopp. And again, for Marcelo, he would be the perfect replacement for Real Madrid because this guy's got very high stamina, 95 of his stamina rating. So all game long, he'll bomb up and down the pitch, down that left-hand side, and be a supportive player for your front three, whilst also having high work rates as well, having the energy to track back on defence too. Robertson's got some absolutely fantastic stats, and again, for £65 million, it's a lot of money to pay. It's more than double what you're getting for Marcelo. But again, he's several years younger than the Brazilian, he's a rating higher, and he grows to 89 overall, and with his key stats being stamina, crossing, and sprint speed as well, with high work rates, this guy is going to be a great supportive, attack-minded fullback/wingback in your Real Madrid back four for your front three, whilst also being incredibly good on the defensive end as well. So yeah, I recommend selling signing Marcelo. We sad to let him go, but again, with Real Madrid, that's your goal in the first transfer window. Start replacing those aging players, and whilst it would be sad, you've got to make those sacrifices to build for the future. So we had a bid there for Lucas Vazquez, which we accepted, and also we see confirmation that Gareth Bale does go to Barcelona for £50 million. I thought that was incredibly interesting here as he pulls a reverse Luis Figo, and we would then look to replace the Welsh wing wizard with one of these 4 players on my transfer shortlist. So who would I recommend replacing Gareth Bale with? Well, I've got 4 players on the list here for you, all of which would be really good replacements for the former Spurs winger. Now you've got Mohamed Salah of Liverpool, 27 years old but highest rated at 90 overall. Raheem Sterling, who has been linked with Real Madrid in the past, 24 years old yet 89 rated, and also a couple of other Man City players as well. Bernardo Silva, the Portuguese right winger that could also play for the middle of the park, 24 years old like Sterling and 87 rated, and also Leroy Sané, the youngest of the players, and 86 overall. Now all these players are going to get to 90 plus when they're peaking, all of which would be really good options, but my recommendation would be the best one of the bunch. That's Mohamed Salah, the Egyptian talent playing for Liverpool, who I think would be a superb player to pick up. Now he's 90 rated, so again he's the highest overall of all those 4 players, but also as we've seen in recent years, has won the Golden Boot for Liverpool in the Premier League. A big reason as to why they've had so much success both in the Premier League and in Europe as well. He's been one of their key pieces since Klopp brought him to Anfield, and he has been linked with Real Madrid in the past as well. And of course, why I'd recommend Salah is because out of the 4 players, he would be probably the best goal scorer out of the bunch. And in your front 3, you want someone to cut in from the right and shoot on their left foot. Sterling is the only right-footed player out of the 4. He's got a freestyle weak foot, so he should be able to score some goals with his weaker left foot. But Salah would be the most clinical finisher of the 4, and that's what you're looking for a replacement. So any of the 4 would be good, but I would recommend Mohamed Salah with 94 acceleration, 92 sprint speed, 91 agility, and 4-star skill moves as well. He can also play as an out-and-out striker too, if you fancy giving him a go up top in place of Kylian Mbappe. But of course, as we know, he's best suited to playing as an inside forward on the right-hand side of the wing. And your new front 3 for your first season in charge of Real Madrid: Eden Hazard on the left, Mohamed Salah on the right, Kylian Mbappe as the lone striker. There aren't many defences in world football that could put a stop to that front trio. So yeah, following the signing of Salah, we had a bid here for Nacho Fernandez from RB Leipzig, which we accepted for £20.9 million. Fernandez is now 29 years old and coming towards the end of his prime years. And also a bid here for Dani Carvajal. This is quite an interesting one as well. Now I didn't put Carvajal on my transfer list when I began this career mode. However, it is worth pointing out that at 27 years old, 85 rated, he's still got 2 or 3 years before he starts to show signs of decline. You could get around 40 to 50 million pounds to the Spaniard in the first season. Now he's got high work rates, very high stamina as well, so a really good wing back option to have. As you see, Lucas Vazquez here agrees personal terms with Monaco, but like with Marcelo, you can get someone that's better and younger for the future as well as the present as well. So if you do get a big bid for him, I wouldn't recommend against cashing in on him. It wouldn't be a bad decision. Really, it's totally up to you. Keep him, 85 rated, still got 2 or 3 years before he starts to show signs of decline. That's totally fine. But if you want to sell him or replace him with someone younger, you can do that as well. The choice really is yours. I wouldn't recommend putting him on the transfer list and forcing him out the door, but if you get a decent bid for him, certainly consider cashing in on him and raising a bit of money. But regardless, we did get a bid here for Luka Modric, and as I said right at the start of the episode, it would be sad to let the Croatian go. Of course, the Ballon d'Or winner did so well in helping Croatia reach the World Cup final back in Russia in 2018. He's been at Real Madrid for such a long time since his move from Spurs as well, but again, with Real Madrid in the first season, your goal, your mission, your objective is to start replacing and changing the old guard and bringing in younger replacements. We agreed a deal of £38 million with Paris Saint-Germain, as he may well be on his way to Ligue 1, as Dani Carvajal does go here to Juventus for £45 million, which raises our budget up to around £105 to £106 million. And for the replacement for Dani Carvajal, well, there was only going to be one replacement for him, wasn't there? Trent Alexander-Arnold of Liverpool. Of course, you've just signed his fullback bro, Andy Robertson, to play on the left-hand side. And as we know of Liverpool, the fullbacks/wingbacks are so important to their style of play. You got Robertson, why not get the other lad, Trent Alexander-Arnold, as well? 20 years old Alexander-Arnold, so young, but so gifted, so superb, and so determined as well. 85 85 rated at just 20 years old with 90 potential. He's already one of the best fullbacks in the world, and in the future he could become one of the best fullbacks in the game and one of the best players in the game as well. 90% potential Alexander Arnold's got. Like Andy Robertson, you're probably going to be spending around 60 to 70 million pounds. We agreed the same fee with Alexander Arnold as it was for Andy Robertson as well, which is 65 million pounds plus a 10% sell-on clause as well. So you spend 130 million pounds on two new fullbacks here at Real Madrid. But when you think about the players that they're replacing, Marcelo's now in his 30s and beginning to show signs of decline in the game. Dani Carvajal, who's a very good player but isn't going to get any better than 85 rated. You signed two players that are 5 and 6 years younger than their predecessors on lower wages as well. So whilst you're also restructuring your wage bill, you're getting younger talents with more potential for the future, and you're not taking a step back in their overall ratings as well. Alexander Arnold is the same rating as Dani Carvajal despite being 7 years younger. Robertson is 1 or 2 ratings higher than Marcelo, whilst also being 5 years younger as well. So definitely recommend picking up the Liverpool pair there. Alexander Arnold on the right and Robertson on the left-hand side. They've worked together at Liverpool, so you'd have no chemistry issues when you sign the pair of them. And again, for £130 million, it's a lot to spend on two fullbacks, but trust me, they are world-class and worth every single penny. But following that, we did see that Luka Modric had indeed been sold. It was sad to sell both Modric and Marcelo, but again, it's got to be done in the first season. You've got to start changing the old guard and bringing in the replacements. And after the sale of the Croatian, I went after his replacement, and there are several players you could get to play as a central midfielder to replace Luka Modric, the likes of Milinkovic-Savic. If you want to sign Sol from your Madrid rivals Atletico, he'd be really good with high work rates as well. You could get N'Golo Kante from Chelsea too, but my recommendation would be this guy right here, Paul Pogba of Manchester United and formerly, of course, of Juventus. 26 years old now, Paul Pogba, how time flies, but 87 rated and one of the best midfielders in the game. He's also got a +3 for his potential as well, which means at his peak he'll be 90 overall, and with dynamic potential could get into the low 90s of 91 or perhaps even 92. And Pogba's stats are absolutely fantastic, and I would say the perfect fit for Real Madrid's midfield trio. So after the sale of Luka Modric, you've got Toni Kroos, but he's got a lack of pace. You've got Casemiro, but he's the one that's going to be sitting deeper in your midfield trio as a holding midfielder, whereas Paul Pogba, whilst he does have CDM in his list of positions with high medium work rates and some really good stats when going forward. Physically, he's very strong at 6'3" as well. He might be 2 ratings lower than Modric, to begin with 90 ball control, 90 long pass, 90 short pass, 89 shot power as well. This guy, as we've seen in years gone by, can be a distance specialist with 4-star weak foot, 5-star skill moves, and again 6'3". He's 7 years younger than Luka Modric, and again he might be 2 ratings lower than Modric to begin with, but again he does have 90 potential. At the end of the first season, because he's 26 years old as well, he's going to grow very quickly. That means come the end of your first season, he should be the same rating as Modric starts off with at 89 overall, or perhaps even get to 90 with a cheeky bit of player training. But yeah, Pogba definitely my long-term replacement for Luka Modric, and as you can see there, I did get a bid there for Sergio Ramos, though I did decide to reject it. Of course, you do want to change the old guard at Real Madrid and start bringing in the younger replacements, but Ramos would be the only player after all of those sales in the first window that's 30 years old or older, and of course, as he is the Real Madrid captain, I wouldn't recommend selling Ramos. You can sell the rest of the old guard, but I'd keep Ramos here as the captain. He's 89 rated and thus one of the best centre-backs in the world, and whilst he is due to decline in rating in the first season, at least for the first season, keep him on as your captain. I think that would be quite nice. But after the season ticket sales, regardless, we did decide to do 3 more things, which is recall 3 players here. 2 more things, which is first of all recall 3 players from loan. Dani Ceballos at Arsenal, Mariano playing for Levante, and also Odriozola at Bayern Munich. The reason I'd recommend recalling these players is just because the one concern with Real Madrid in the first season is the lack of quality squad depth outside of the first 11 and bench. So once you sold the likes of James Rodriguez, you wouldn't mind getting a couple of players that can be in the reserves just in case you have an injury crisis. Odriozola is an 80 rated right back. He actually grew a rating when we got him back to 81. Mayoral also did the same. He grew 1 rating when we recalled him, but he starts off 77 overall, so a decent third/fourth choice striker to have. And also Dani Ceballos at Arsenal as well is 81 rated too, so a decent central midfielder to have in case you have an injury or suspension crisis. And when you recall those players as well, Of course, it's not realistic, or these episodes aren't designed to be realistic. The signings aren't designed to be realistic, but they're only going to cost you like £3 million to recall the trio. £3 million to recall 3 very good players that are either in their low 80s or approaching low 80s. That's dirt cheap to add some squad depth to your Real Madrid side. And the last thing we did was agree a deal with Villarreal for Pau Torres. I believe it was £17 million. This is a 22-year-old centre-back, not a player you need to sign. He's not going to start ahead of Rafael Varane or Sergio Ramos. He's not even going to go on your bench with Eder Militao, the very talented young Brazilian centre-half. However, he's there for squad depth as a 4th choice centre-half, and he's got 86 potential as well. So in the future, he'll grow into becoming a very competent 3rd choice centre-back for your substitutes bench. So in the end, we sold 8 players for £246 million, most of which were the old guard here at Real Madrid that need shifting on sooner rather than later. But we signed 5 players for a whopping £426.5 million to a net loss of £180.5 million in our first season. However, when you look at the Real Madrid side now, it's gotten younger, it's gotten better. Mbappe replaces Benzema, Salla replaces Bale, Pogba replaces Modric, Alexander-Arnold replaces Carvajal, and Robertson replaces Marcelo as well. We replaced the senior, aging old guard with, apart from in Pogba's case, better players for now and for the future as well. And again, that's my recommendation for Real Madrid in the first season. You've already got a lot of good young talent here, but if you can replace the old guard with better replacements in the first season that are younger and have more potential for the future, that is my recommendation. It'll be sad to say goodbye to the likes of Benzema and Modric and Marcelo, but I believe it's worth doing in the first season. Changing the old guard, they've had their day. Now look to bring in the future Galacticos of Real Madrid in the first season. So after making those signings there and conducting loads of transfer business in the first season, we would simulate to the end of the season, see how Real Madrid get on. Would they win the treble like the board have asked of them? And would it be a successful first season for our new look, youthful Real Madrid side? Well, as you can see, they did win La Liga by 5 points, and they did it undefeated as well. 35 wins in 38 La Liga games, scoring 109 times in the season as well. Extraordinary goal-to-game ratio that would be for Real Madrid. So an undefeated La Liga season for Real Madrid. They absolutely bossed it, finishing 5 points clear of Barcelona, and I think it was 13 points clear of Atletico Madrid as well. They also won the Supercopa in January as well by beating Valencia by 4-1. That's not in the objective, but still nice to win it. And they won the Copa del Rey as well. They beat Athletic Bilbao by 2-0 in the final. The question was, though, would they win the Champions League in their 5th in 7 seasons? Yes, they would. They beat Spurs by 3-2 in a thrilling 5-goal Champions League final. So poor old Spurs, back-to-back Champions League final heartbreak for Jose Mourinho's side now. But they beat Man City in the semi-finals, who of course, as we know, are facing them in real life in the round of 16, and their rivals Barcelona in the quarterfinals to reach and win the Champions League final. So a clean sweep for Real Madrid in the first season at the Bernabeu, winning the treble and also the Supercopa to go alongside it as well. 4 out of 4 for Real Madrid. And when you start the career mode off, you see Toni Kroos here got sold to Barcelona for £117.9 million in January. I had no involvement in this. Yeah, our manager did it for me. But when you start the career mode off, you take a look at the Real Madrid side. As I mentioned earlier, it's such an amazing team. You could probably win the treble without making a single signing in the first season. But again, my recommendation is to start replacing the old guard right away. Get as much money as you can for the aging players and bring in their younger replacements. The future is now at the Bernabeu, and once you've made those signings there, with the young talent that you're adding to already at the Bernabeu right now, you are set to dominate Spanish and European football for many years to come. So let's take a look at the final stats of the players as well. You can see Andy Robertson grew 1 rating in his first season at Real Madrid. Pau Torres grew 1 rating as well to 79 overall. Just a squad player there, Pau Torres, but nice to sign him regardless. Alexander-Arnold suffered a serious injury, but still got 3 assists and 1 goal in his first season at the Bernabeu in La Liga, and also grew a rating as well. Paul Pogba, you might have noticed it though, he grew 2 ratings, had a sensational season in La Liga. 8 goals and 8 assists in his debut year in La Liga, growing those 2 ratings to match what Modric started off with at 89 overall. So very great replacement for him. And as for Salla, he won't grow any ratings in the first season, but you don't need him to. He's 27 years old and already 90 overall. Scored tons of goals as well, 20 goals in his debut season in La Liga. Liga. And as for Mbappe, 22 goals and 7 assists in his first La Liga season, growing 2 ratings to 91 overall as well. I would definitely say all of those signings hit the ground running in their very first season, with the exception of Pau Torres, who, to be fair, was only signed as a squad player. But again, the future is now at Real Madrid. Once you make those signings there, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold to replace Marcelo and Dani Carvajal, Pogba to replace Luka Modric, Salla to replace Gareth Bale, and of course Kylian Mbappe, Real Madrid's #1 target, to replace Karim Benzema. The future is now with Real Madrid, and again, you are set for a very long and successful career at the Bernabeu, where you'll be picking up trophies left, right and centre once you replace the old guard. But that will end today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys. Really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun changing the team around and replacing those older players. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and if transfer tips did help, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.